Ladies and gentlemen, it's another week, and you know what that means. Debate amongst friends here. Doc and Prof coming at you live. Doc, we had an exhibition, but we also had someone winning her 7th gymnastics championship. Shout out to Simone Biles, but that's not what we're here to talk about as much as we would like to go into details of just how much she dominated the competition. Everyone really wanted to talk about this Floyd Mayweather, Logan Paul exhibition. And folks, when I say exhibition, I mean exhibition. Not an actual fight that'll determine a winner. Not an actual fight where someone's going to be kissing the canvas.
At least we hope not.
Only unless they decide to get serious. That's a totally different story.
Right.
But not an actual fight that was going to have a clear, defined winner. That's what exhibition is, folks.
Without
so for
question.
those that wanted to see Floyd Mayweather win or Logan Paul win, you'll be utterly disappointed.
This wasn't the fight for you.
This was not the fight for you.
You know, I mean, obviously, listen, you had freaking Tyson out here, you know what I'm saying? And in that fight, you would expect there to be a knockout, but guess what? No knockouts because it's an exhibition. It's almost like we're getting a close view of a sparring session.
It's literally a sparring session.
Now,
because if you think about it, Logan Paul didn't ever went 8 rounds.
Right. In which, in the beginning, you can tell his inexperience. It was almost like, you know, I actually don't know what he was doing. It looks like he was just out there just swinging.
Well, he was brawling. That's the type of boxer he is.
Yeah, but
there's brawling style, and that's how he boxes.
But they weren't landing. You know, like they did in boxing. That doesn't. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you're gonna do it, you're gonna have an exhibition. Hold on. If you're gonna have an exhibition, right? You want to get better. You've had different fighters. You had different fights, and if you're a brawler, that's fine. But at the same time, it's like eventually you're going to not brawl because you mentioned it before the show. But if Mayweather was in his weight class, he would have got knocked out with some of the shots that Mayweather did land. So it was almost like Mayweather would hit a shot and then like stop, look at him really quickly, like, hey, you let your guard down really quickly. I just tagged you. You may want to keep your hands up, you know, because going forward,
which was an issue. Again,
yeah, going forward, you might have an issue.
The people watching this fight is like, well, how come he didn't just knock him out? Like,
well, as I'm saying, I don't really care. Like I said, everybody's watching differently. I don't really get caught up in what other people are watching. I mean, if that's what people want, then again, you'd been better off going and watching MMA. I don't know. I think this was $50.
I have.
Yeah, I believe this is $50.
Disclaimer: Debate amongst friends are not endorsing any type of piracy for this event.
Explicit. This is explicit. But yeah, the event was $50. So for $50, you would expect a knockout. I get it, and I'm hoping that.
Shout outs to Mark Cuban.
But I'm expecting that people should have been satisfied with the Chad Johnson knockdown. At least somebody went down.
Again,
but
another exhibition fight.
$50. You know, you paid $50.
As you could tell, his opponent was like, okay, you know, calm it down.
Yeah, take a sip. Take a sip of your water in the corner.
Yes.
Make sure you spit into the little bucket, and let's go out here and let's finish this 4 rounds. There's only 4 rounds.
Yep. 4 2-minute rounds.
Just looking through really quickly. Obviously, you know, the 28 out of 217 punches thrown, 13% landing. That's not going to cut it as a professional boxer.
Again, we're talking about someone who's fighting as a brawler, who's trying to be an in-boxer. Hold on. Against one of the best out-boxers.
No.
of the
I'm not
generation.
giving it 13%. 13%.
Hold on.
That's not good.
Hold on. And I honestly feel like Logan Paul learned something from this exhibition. He had a lot to take away from it. I do agree, 13% is just horrible, but the problem was he wasn't properly locating where his strikes was going to go. He was literally hoping that Mayweather was going to make a slip in his
No, I get it.
defense, which, for those that don't understand how precise Floyd Mayweather defense is, it's the reason why no one likes him, is the fact that he doesn't get hit. Because he worked his body so hard to not get hit. And when he does get hit, he's usually slipping it off.
Right.
That's how good he is. So for the people who think that Logan Paul hit more jabs, you're not really paying attention to it. You have to look.
But see, even still, like
or as Doc usually say, stop reacting based on what the crowd is saying.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is maybe round one, you brawl, right? And this is not his first exhibition. It's not his first fight. I didn't go back and look at his first professional fight and see what he did. But my thing is, it's like, eventually, if this is something that you want to do full time, you want to be a boxer, you don't want to be a social media influencer anymore, you want to get into the world of boxing, the greats study boxing. What he did out there is he wanted to go out and fight. If you want to fight, I suggest you go to the octagon rather than going to the boxing ring. That's my only suggestion. Go to the octagon where you can throw as many punches as you want. You can kick, you can grab, you can choke, you can do anything you want. But I can't see Logan Paul, excuse me, Jake Paul, Logan Paul and Jake, the Pauls. I can't see Mr. Paul going up against, and again, I don't know what weight class he's in. Obviously, he's not in Floyd's. But I can't see him battling against someone who's been doing this for a long time. He gets killed by somebody like Deontay Wilder, 2 seconds.
People
you
say
put him up.
That he was technically like a heavyweight. I don't believe that.
I can't believe that.
People are taking that way too literally.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe middleweight. Maybe.
I have no idea.
I don't know. No it's really hard for me to tell.
It's Jake Paul or Logan Paul.
It was Logan.
Some say, does Jake fight?
Mm-hmm.
So both of them fight.
Yes. Jake was
That's probably why I
knocked out Nate.
Okay. Jake knocked out Nate. Logan went the distance with Mayweather. Gotcha. Okay. The Pauls. But anyway, I mean, it was.
Who you think we were talking about this whole time?
No. Because I thought Logan Paul was the same person that fought Nate. That's how I'm saying. Like,
no, that was
so I'm just getting confused with the Pauls here.
I understand.
So Logan Paul's 13%, not really feeling it, even for an exhibition. And obviously, Mayweather's 40%. He probably wasn't happy with that either.
No,
but needless to say, it happened. So then let's continue on. Obviously, we know we've been following it for a couple of weeks here. The Atlanta Falcons weren't pleased to have Julio Jones, one of the best receivers in the National Football League, on their roster this year. For whatever reason, they did draft a new tight end. Obviously, they have some young wide receivers that are coming in on their own. So they traded him to the Tennessee Titans for a second-round pick, 2022, and a 2023 fourth-round pick. The Titans get Julio Jones and a 2023 sixth-round pick. Pretty huge. That's actually not a bad deal. Many teams didn't want to pay Julio Jones the big money. That's why they didn't trade for him. Probably were waiting for the Falcons to release him. Titans said, no touching, and decided to go ahead and make the deal because they didn't want to.
Oh, you gotta stop.
they didn't want to go through the waiver wire.
Well,
I'm
Julio
sorry.
Jones will
No.
never be on the waiver wire like
Well, he
that.
would have been if they would have released them. Then you'd. So
You
you
really,
what would
you really
happen
think the
is,
Falcons was going to release him?
I think that's what a lot of teams were banking on. Because that's what
I don't
happens,
think the
and
Falcons would have done that.
that's what happens in football. Though it's so stupid. It's like you try to trade somebody, everybody says no, we don't want them, we don't want them, we don't want to pay them, and then the team says, well, we don't want to pay them either, so they release them, and then you either pick them up during that 3 days on the waiver wire, which at that point you would have to absorb his entire salary, or you wait the 3 days. But it's like, what if there are some teams that just did not want to trade for him, but if he hits that waiver wire, they would just do it because they didn't want to give up the assets, because obviously the Falcons were looking for some picks. So I don't know, but Julio in Tennessee, I think is going to be good. That could put them over the top in the AFC. Julio on one side, you already have a great receiver on the other side. You got a great running back. Tannehill's coming into his own, so it's going to
Yeah.
be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I
Um,
can agree with that. I still think they have a lot of questions that need to be answered on the defensive side, honestly. But I
yeah,
mean, this gives their passing attack a lot more leniency, a lot more dimension to it. Um,
and Julio will probably make a lot of the inside receivers better, also.
absolutely, absolutely, because now
Especially,
they can't put 8 in the box for Derrick Henry,
right,
and it opens up the field for the receivers running crossing routes. One of Doc's
true.
favorite plays.
No, absolutely, and I think AJ.
Just gotta run those slants.
No, exactly. You got to run the slants. I think AJ Brown will definitely. Um, he will benefit from what they're doing, and obviously they have some pretty. Like I said, they have some pretty good receivers over there. I think obviously they'll need to make some moves and make sure that they figure out who the perfect slot person is. But I
Mm-hmm.
think they'll be good. But
Yes.
speaking of the
So
perfect,
this
oh,
deal,
go ahead.
just real quickly for those that care about the contract side of things. So they didn't have to give up first round pick, but they are on the
Yeah,
hook for $15.3 million of the salary for 2021 and the remaining 2 years of
or,
his contract.
which a lot of people
Um,
didn't want to pay.
yep. And for the Falcons, they'll have $7.75 million in dead money.
Which that's better than 16.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's better than the first number and that dead money. And that's why I'm sure the Falcons didn't want to release him, but they would have.
they would have. They
They
absolutely
would
would
have.
have. Yeah, they would have.
But speaking of ridding people from the team, let's jump over to basketball really quickly here with some of these coaching changes after the elimination of the Portland Trailblazers. They
Delete.
decide to move on from Terry Stotts, which is also something, that we talked about. Obviously, we talked about that with Bradley Stevens. Like, how long is too long to just make it to the playoffs? You
Yep.
know, how long is too long? I mean, we've seen it with Mike D'Antoni. Obviously, we saw it with a couple coaches that even won Coach of the Year, and
Yes.
McHale, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, who
Which I
was
would
the
like to see.
coach that was just who won Coach of the Year
Yeah.
and then got
Western
fired?
Conference. Listen, Western Conference. We were in the Western Conference and he gets fired, which I would like to see McHale get another shot because I thought he did pretty good in Houston. But Terry Stotts out as Portland Trailblazers head coach after 9 seasons. And almost a day or so
Pretty
later,
much like 24 hours later.
the Orlando Magic parted ways with Steve Clifford. And I truly believe that they must want Stotts. They must
uh,
want Terry Stotts. They got to
mhm.
be. That's the only thing I could think of. And then there was the Bleacher Report article that posted 5 minutes after I said that. And it's like, I'm living in Florida because it literally says the Magic want Terry Stotts.
Doc has his finger on Florida's pulse.
It's like, doo doo, doo doo. But we also had some basketball action over the weekend. Obviously, the Clippers finally woke up. They said, we want to be the team that represents LA. The Lakers couldn't do it, so we got to do it. And they won. They
They
beat.
It was a
They beat.
convincing win too.
Yeah, they beat Luca. I'm
Yeah,
gonna put it like that. They beat
yeah.
Luca. I know it's hard to beat Luca. He obviously, I feel like he scored like 40 something points in them every game.
He
Um,
averaged a lot of points.
it got to be 30 something.
It
Um,
was actually it's a great question. I can actually tell you.
yeah, he had to average at least 38, 39 on them because I mean he was really dominating.
35.7 points for the series.
35.7 for the series. Okay. But we talked about Porzingis, and actually a report came out today that said he was unhappy with his role, and I'm like, I'm unhappy with your role too. Like, I mean, I'm glad we're on the same page here, Porzingis.
I'm
Like,
happy that he decided to just
I mean, at first I could understand why you would be upset
no. Wait,
because he
wait,
was
wait. Why?
dominating.
Why do you think that I was upset?
Because he was dominating in New York.
He was.
And even it was dramatic. His exit was dramatic, but he was really really good in New York. Obviously, he had some injury issues, but
Yeah,
he was pretty
he
good.
had the injury issues, but then again, it was our front office that kind of made things even worse.
Well, let's not get too deep into that. I mean, the
Yeah,
front office has quieted down for a season. There was no incidents. Yeah, there was no incidents this year. It looks like things are turning around. Let's see. Let's see what happens when fans are consistently in the stadium.
I'm
Legends
not
come
gonna
to town.
I'm
Let's
not
see
gonna
what
hold my breath
happens.
about it. But let's finish
Um,
talking about this game. I did say this was a convincing win for the Clippers. Um,
right.
Luca dropped 46. And I mentioned this to you after the game. A lot of these younger stars, this next generation of stars, are really stepping up in the playoffs, which is something that we always said that we wanted to see. And they didn't choke under pressure like Julius Randle.
Wow. And
Kawhi Leonard
and
remaining consistent as always, dropping 28 points,
flirted
10
with
for
a triple double.
15.
Flirted with it.
Yes, he did. Oh,
He
yes,
flirted.
he
He
did.
flirted really hard. He flirted really hard with the triple double. And Paul George, 22 and 10 assists, 6 rebounds. So I mean, they really played. I know that they made the change and gave Reggie Jackson some more time. They actually played Luke Kennard, who I noticed wasn't playing in some of the earlier games.
Mhm.
Um, but you look at the people. At the end, you take Patrick Beverly out because hey, it's just not working. And Patrick Beverly was a part of the old regime. It could be time to move on from him. Luke Kennard was brought in. Honestly, I thought he was somebody that was going to be that third to fourth scoring option for them, but because they paid him enough money, I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him in the offseason. But
Absolutely.
this team came together at the perfect time.
Absolutely. Also, big shout outs
Uh,
to Reggie Jackson, too, for just being instant offense for them, too. 28 minutes, 15 points, uh, 37%, 37% shooting from three, which isn't bad, 3 for 8. And,
mhm.
just a respectable 40%. I mean, again, people get upset about, people shooting under 50% for the game, but they don't really understand how hard it is to shoot in the NBA.
Absolutely. And speaking of keeping it together and young players really stepping up, the Atlanta Hawks take the first game against Philly in Philly. The process is so injury prone. It's like,
It is very injury prone.
I mean, Joel Embiid played, and he played very well. He played a lot. I didn't expect him to play because I believe they said he had a partially torn meniscus. So
But he still gave it all. 38
he
minutes,
did.
scored 39 points. I mean,
He wants
Luca
to
did the
win.
same thing.
Yeah, he wants to win, and I don't blame him. And honestly, they really should have beat Atlanta. But again, Atlanta is a hungry, scrappy young team. They're not going to go out without a fight. This is the thing I like about this playoffs versus other playoffs is that you set the tone from the beginning with the play-in tournament,
Absolutely.
and then you kind of move on. So it kind of sets precedent for the entire playoffs. So
I
that's
do
pretty
agree
awesome.
with that. And something that came to my attention too, Doc, and I don't know if you know this, but the four teams in the Western Conference, I know we're talking about the East right now, but the four teams in the Western Conference have never won an NBA championship.
Mm.
And I need to get
Yikes.
that out there.
I mean, it's a possibility that those four may still not win a championship, but we're gonna see what happens. Um, I guess let's jump to this last game because this is the one that's really gonna determine whether that West team gets a championship. Because it's the champ. I'm gonna be honest. I like Philly. Atlanta's a young team, but I
This
don't see
is
either.
like
I
this.
don't
This is
see.
the series that's going to determine who's going to
Yeah,
go East. Yeah,
I don't see any one of those teams beating Brooklyn or Milwaukee.
absolutely not.
Philly can push it, but the way they're struggling sometimes, and with that injury, I'm not sure. But speaking of injuries, you had the injury to James Harden, who got hurt after less than 1 minute. Hammy,
Hamgate.
hammy, hamgate. Oh, I hurt my leg. My leg is hurt. Hamstring.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have to stop the show early today.
Hamstring. But I
if
hope
y'all could just bring up the hashtag Doc's a scumbag, please, I'd appreciate that.
hashtag hamstring. um, but yeah, this is I'm glad this didn't turn into the Chris Paul hamstring, because that would have been rough. The Nets were still able to pull out the win. Um, I don't know. I have no idea. KD is so good. Kyrie is he wants to get back. I think Kyrie wants to prove that he doesn't need LeBron, but getting Kevin Durant doesn't help.
I feel like he don't care anymore. I feel like now he's like, okay, I want my second ring.
He does. But shout out to freaking Blake Griffin.
I was gonna say that Blake Griffin
Ah,
came in and like he was everywhere.
he played like his old self. He actually played James Harden's role very well.
Yes.
18 points, 14 rebounds, 12 assists. Excuse me, 3 assists. He actually played.
Whoa.
Yeah, I thought I saw a triple double there. I was like, oh god. 14 rebounds, 3 assists. He actually played really, really well. Joe
Yeah, also
Harris
Bruce
shot the
Brown
ball really
came in,
well.
contributed some great minutes as well too. Obviously, it doesn't show on the stat sheet, but like he definitely had a lot of impact, getting
And they
into the
and
driving
they
lanes and whatnot.
and they brought in Mike James.
He did
He
very good.
shot pretty well. He shot 2 for 4 from three, 5-11 from the field. So, like I said, Brooklyn has some good. They had good shooters last year. They had a really good team last year. If they would have ran that team back with Kyrie and KD, they probably would still have this same. I would say they would have this
Success,
same success. Yeah,
absolutely.
and if you think about it, if they would have kept Levert with Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and then still brought in Blake Griffin. Oh my God! But I think that's good. So tonight we have the
Wait.
game.
Before you do that, though, there's another fun fact that I need to tell you about.
Go for it. Don't tell me. Tell the people.
So, did you
Yes,
know
Mochi
that
Grill.
if Brooklyn was to win the championship this year, that only one of the original big three from OKC would not have a championship?
Dang, that's sad. That's sad. You know that's sad.
So you was talking about tonight's
Wait. Say it again. Oh, you said only one wouldn't have one.
yes.
So
So
right
all
now,
three had an MVP, but only
yeah,
one would not have a championship.
gotcha. Poor West. I think he'll. I don't know. He might go down as one of the best players to not have one, and it's okay. It's sad, but it's okay. Oh boy, he's making a face, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. We got Brooklyn and Milwaukee game two tonight on TNT, and then Denver and Phoenix also on TNT game one. That should be such an awesome series. No
Ladies and
practice for
gentlemen,
me
I'm
this
just
week.
glad that it's not on NBA TV.
True, that's true. Clearly, for those that don't know, my fantasy football, my girls flag football team here in the great state of North Carolina. We played so hard yesterday, but we did not bring the championship home. But that's okay because guess what? We're coming back because the cream is rising to the top.
I think we're ready for the outro, Doc.
Exactly. But I know you listen to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform because we're on all of them. And if you didn't find it for whatever reason, you can always go to our website at www.debateamongstfriends.com where you can see this episode or listen to this episode and all of the other past episodes. But be sure to tune in to us tomorrow as we go back to Dark Side of the Ring. But you can catch all of our episodes here Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for more news, more analysis, and the reads.